what's up, Bob here, continuing on with my series, Summer of CTI. I have a few episodes left, and then I'm going to bring the series to a close. That said, no CTI series would be complete without showcasing this next record. It's always in the crates and should be between $6 and $8 or whatever currency you deal in. It is the very definition of the term cheap heat. Of course, I am talking about Deodato Prelude. This record is housed in a green and black laminated gatefold with a nice tree on the front. Has that classic yellow CTI label. It is arranged by Deodato himself, produced by Creed Taylor, recorded by Rudy Van Gelder at Van Gelder Studios, or as we like to call it, Inglewood Cliffs. Now, this might be the only CTI record to contain a bona fide hit song. Charted number 2 in the United States and number 3 in Canada on the pop charts. A rendition, an arrangement, a cover of Richard Strauss's composition,
Also sprach Zarathustra.
or as we like to call it, 2001. Most known as the theme song to Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. That said, I first heard the tune on Championship Wrestling, or as we like to call it, Channel 3 Wrestling, back in the 80s. They had a cover of 2001 that opened the Championship Wrestling Association program every Saturday or Sunday morning. I can't recall. There was like a statue of a guy, and it was turning, and 2001 was playing, and that is where I first became hip to the composition. That said, that's a very regional reference, so I digress. It was a big hit for Deodato and really propelled the record to another level. There's actually an alternate cover for this record with like a silver guy and like a landscape, and it says 2001 at the top. I will show that. And this was a very popular record and definitely a must-have in the CTI range if you're collecting CTI records. Let's get into the personnel. On piano and electric piano, you got Deodato. Ron Carter is on electric bass on this record, not upright. Stanley Clarke is also featured on the bass. Billy Cobham is on the drums, and I have to say, he is ultra funky on this record. John Tropia is on electric guitar, as well as Jay Berliner. Ierto is on percussion. Ray Barretto is on congas. Hubert Laws is on this record. And then there is a whole host of trumpets, trombones, violins, cellos, violas, flutes. So there is an absolutely huge personnel list. Now that we have the 2001 element of the record out of the way, let's talk about the record as a whole. It's pretty funky from start to finish. This is a great record. You can just put this on and vibe out pretty hard. It's a nice listen. It's recorded well. All the tracks are really good. Can't say that there's not some what I would call grocery store verging on elevator music moments on this record. It depends on how you feel about jazz flute. There's a lot of flute on this record, but it's not bad. It's not too cheesy. As a matter of fact, on some of the tracks, it's the perfect thing, okay? That said, we can't talk about Prelude without talking about the song September 13. The opening bars of September 13 contain one of the most popular breakbeats of all time. It's up there with the Amen Brother breakbeat. It's up there with James Brown's Funky Drummer break. If you don't know, which I'm sure you do, early hip-hop artists searched through records to find unaccompanied drums. They would then cut that part, loop it, and now they have a drummer of their own. In this case, they got funky-ass Billy Cobham. And the track September 13 is so incredibly funky. when the drums come in, you're like, man, that's a funky drum beat. And then the electric piano line comes in, and it is super, super killer. Bass comes in, while guitar comes in, and it just keeps building and building and building up to what I would consider sort of a Santana-esque / Allman Brothers Elizabeth Reed type electric guitar solo, a little fuzzier and a bit more shreddy than, say, a Santana solo or Elizabeth Reed. But it all culminates in a large drums and conga break at the end of the song. Now here's the deal. This is where a collectible element enters the chat. At this point for me, this is just a myth. But people talk about it. It's a thing. On this record right here, it says that September 13 is a 5-minute and 24-second song. On some versions of this album, there is a 30-second long drum and conga break. On this one, it's 10 seconds long. But all the track times still list at 5:24. On early pressings of Prelude, there's a much longer drum and conga section at the end of the song. That said, after listening to and examining over 20 copies of Prelude, I have yet to find the one with the longer drum and conga section. Rather rare. I don't think it really adds any value. It's just a cool thing to have. Most people don't even know about it. At this point, it's a myth. If you have this version, please feel free to tell me that you own it in the comments. I have to know that it actually exists, because at this point, I don't think it does. So, September 13th, ultimately funky masterpiece. That's right, folks. Until we meet again, I'll be coming at you with another Summer of CTI video very shortly. And until then, Bob out.